I want us to go through this together line by line because I want to make sure that we fully understand it, and then we can answer these questions together. Yes, Mila, here it is. Okay, so these first two lines, can I have somebody read the first two lines out loud for me? Okay, Eli, go ahead, nice and loud so that everyone at home can hear you.
The first two lines of the stanza.
Yes, please.
I've been scoping with you. Y'all ain't been working like I did. I'll outwork you the first year.
All right, thank you. Eli, what do these first two lines mean? Julie, did you want to jump in? What do these first two lines mean?
I think that it means that he's been watching them.
Who's that?
And with workers, I think. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it says, when it says y'all ain't been working like I do, I think that since like he's been watching them, he's comparing it to like how hard he works compared to how hard they work.
Yeah, and so do you think
it
go ahead.
Go ahead.
What did you think it means? I want to hear what you think it means before I give you a hint. Who do you think he is talking about when he's saying me versus them? Who are the two different groups?
I think that the them is people who aren't immigrants, and he's watching them work, and so he's maybe an immigrant.
Yeah, because we know this song is about immigrants, right? So we know that he's working, he's kind of talking for immigrants, and then them are like non-immigrants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect, thank you. Simone, do you want to read the next two lines? Nice and loud.
You plan on doing jobs though. Either type of kind of check that if you just understand problem.
All right, what do these two lines mean? What do these two lines mean? Yeah, Michael, nice and loud.
He says that he was in that pick. It was like he did it, but actually it was an immigrant that did it, but he paid him and stealing the spotlight.
Stealing the spotlight, yeah. So you claim I'm stealing jobs, though. We hear that a lot, right? That immigrants are stealing jobs. We hear that a lot, right? Who's heard that before? That immigrants steal jobs? Who has heard that before? Nobody? Oh, Eli has his hand raised. What about people at home? What do you say, Eli?
I've heard it, but it's not true.
I've heard it, but it's not true. Yeah. So Peter Piper claimed he picked them, but he just underpaid Pablo. So it's somebody saying, like Michael said, I did this when actually somebody else did it, but I'm taking credit, right? What about the next two lines? Can somebody read the next two lines for me? Gloria, nice and loud. Can you read the next line too for me?
The credit only was traumatic conflict.
Thank you. What does this last bit show us? What does this last bit of the stanza show us or tell us? What does it tell us? I haven't heard a lot of voices from home yet. I've heard Julie. What does that last part of the stanza show us? What does it tell us?
They don't care about them.
Yeah, so Gloria said nobody really cares about that. Ghostwriters are people that write without really getting credit, right? They get paid, but they don't really get credit for what they do, right? So the second half really shows us they're living in the shadows, but they're really making everything work, right? They're really the ones getting the job done, right? Like it says in the title and that last line there. So these three questions that we have. What is the main idea of this stanza? Who wants to share what they wrote for the main idea of the stanza? I'm going to see if somebody online has a great one that we can share. Bree, do you want to share what you put? And then Dion, I'm going to ask you for the next one. Bree, can you share your main idea?
For my main idea, I said the main idea of the stanza is that immigrants work really hard, and they're saying that they should overall get more credit, and they should be recognized more than they are in society.
Because they're not getting that recognition, right? Totally. Thank you. Dion, can you tell us what the tone of the stanza is? Can you tell us what the tone of the stanza is?
Okay, so I feel like the tone of the stanza is kind of like they're frustrated.
Frustrated?
Yeah, because like they're working so much harder than other people that aren't immigrants, but they aren't getting as much credit.
Oh, do you mind muting? Thank you. Go ahead, Dion.
But they aren't getting as much credit or getting paid as much. So I feel like they're kind of frustrated, but they're still like waiting. Like when he said it's a matter of time before the checks all come.
Yeah, so they're frustrated and they're waiting, right?
Yeah.
They're caught up. Yeah, Simone. And let's see what this last one. How does the author develop the main idea? Dion kind of talked about it, but I want to see if somebody else can kind of repeat what he said. How does the author develop the main idea? Simone.
The author developed the main idea by first explaining how hard they work, and then after that, explaining how underpaid and undercredited they are.
Thank you. Yes, Simone. So first they talk about how much they work, and then they talk about how undercredited they are, right? When we talk about develop, it needs to have more than one thing, right? It's change over time. It's change over time. Does anybody have more questions about how to analyze different stanzas or do any of that before we move on to our short cycle assessments? Anybody have questions?